From the headquarters of the Guild of Champions, this is the Chris Terrell Podcast, and I am your host, Chris Terrell. And welcome to another week of your weight loss quest. How did this last week go for you, champion? What new challenges did you encounter? But more importantly, what failure did you go through, and what lesson did you get from that failure? Come on now, don't let a perfectly good failure go by without you getting your lesson. That's your reward for your troubles, after all. Now, if you're new here, I've lost 125 pounds myself after an entire adulthood of chronic yo-yo dieting. Up, down again. Before I finally got sick and tired of being sick and tired, and made some permanent, meaningful, and actual changes to my real-life lifestyle, habits, routines, environment, community, and to my systems of belief. Because it's all 6 of these that create the results of my life. And if I want to get new results, I got to go back and change those 6 things. And now I'm here to help the good folks like you make those changes too, so that you can get the results that you're looking for in your life of a thin, healthy, happy, in-shape life and body. And I want to see you get there. And this journey is going to take a while, right? There's a phrase that I like to say, and those in the guild, we say it. It takes as long as it takes. It takes as long as it takes. However long you think this journey is going to take, it's going to take noticeably longer than that. So settle in, enjoy the journey, and enjoy the ride. And each week I'll be here to help you go one step further on your journey. I've been there. I've walked it myself. I remember how challenging it can be. Not every week you feel motivated. Sure, sometimes you do. Sometimes you will stay motivated for weeks and weeks and weeks. You'll feel unstoppable. But sometimes you don't feel so motivated. And you can't go giving up on yourself every time it starts feeling a little challenging. Now, one of the best things that will help you on this journey is to be mindful of a couple of things. And one of the things to be mindful of is, what Facebook groups are you a member of? Are you a member of my free Facebook group? If you're not a member of my free Facebook group, I would love to invite you to come join that. You can find a link to that into the show in the show notes, or you can head on over to christerrellcoaching.com and you'll find a link there as well. And I just want you to know, I'm so glad you're here, because the fact that you're here listening right now means you are walking the same journey that I walked. I wanted to make a podcast that I wished existed on my journey, and I hope that this podcast has helped you along the way. And if it has, I would love it if you could consider giving the podcast a rating and a review on your podcasting platform. It does help the podcast get in front of more people. And if any episode ever happens to resonate with you and you think it might help someone else, please consider sharing it with someone that you think might benefit from listening. But I want to jump right into it today, because what we're going to talk about today is something I wish someone had told me earlier in my journey. Well, I take that back. People did try to tell me. I guess what I really should be saying is I wished I would have listened. So take my advice. Don't be like how I used to be. The stuff I'm going to talk about in this episode would be so easy to dismiss, to disregard, to say it's not that important, just like I did. But when I finally decided to take this stuff seriously, the stuff we're going to talk about today, I started to get new results in my life. And I found it to be so wildly effective. Here I am 6 years later, I ain't stopped. And here I am 6 years later, and I'm talking to you about it on the podcast. Today is all about your language and how your language creates your results. Let me start with a statement that might hit some of you listening pretty hard. If you keep saying the phrase, "I can't lose weight," your brain is going to believe you. And then, not only that, your brain will go ahead and prove you right. Now, why does your mind do that? Like, you want to lose weight, you do, and yet your brain will go and sabotage you. It's because your brain, believe it or not, loves to be right. And it's really pesky. Sometimes our brain wants to be right more than it wants to be happy, more than it wants to be successful. Being right sometimes trumps it all. And your brain will literally sabotage your own success just to prove that you were right all along. Think about it like this. You tell yourself things like, "I always binge on the weekends," or "I always lose control around chocolate." Perhaps, "I always give up after a couple of weeks. I just do it for a couple of weeks and I always seem to give up when it gets hard." And then what happens when you talk like that? You keep talking like that. What happens? Well, exactly what you said. What you said was going to happen is what will happen. Why? Why does that happen? Because your subconscious hears those words, takes them as instructions, and says, all right, boss, if that's who we are, let's go make it true. You have this thing in your brain called the reticular activating system, and when it gets a command that it believes to be true, it will set off to help you execute it. And so when you keep telling yourself, I always binge on the weekends, I always fall apart on the weekends, I do really fine Monday through Friday, but as soon as the weekends roll around, I don't do good. And when you just keep saying that again and again and again and again and again, your subconscious is always listening. And it's thinking like, well, why? I mean, we're going to mess up on the weekend. That's what we do. It's who we are. And now I used to do this all the time. All the time. I used to go around saying things like, I guess I'm just the big guy. You know, I've always been the big guy. I'll always be the big guy. I've always struggled with eating good. I've always struggled with controlling myself around food. I'm terrible at this. You know, once I start, I can't stop. I just can't ever seem to stick to a diet. And you know what I got when I talked like that? I got exactly what I kept saying I'd get. I didn't realize at the time, the time being before I took my language seriously, but those phrases were literally shaping my identity. My words that I was speaking out loud all the time was forming and reinforcing my beliefs. And my beliefs created my emotions. And my emotions led to my actions. And those actions gave me my results. And my results always matched my words. Always. I was stuck. I was stuck because I was speaking my own failure into existence. I think we call this a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? I was literally talking myself out of success. Maybe you've done this too. Maybe you're still doing it. Maybe it's something you haven't quite yet stopped doing. Many people do. It's a very common thing, especially in the guild. It's something we have to work with a lot to help people reshape their language. Because if you can reshape your language, you will reshape your beliefs. And what do I say at the beginning of every episode of the podcast? You are a byproduct of your lifestyle, habits, routines, environment, community, and your systems of belief. And your language shapes your systems of belief, and it can reinforce your systems of belief. Here's a hard truth for some of you. Your weight isn't the problem. Your language about your weight is the problem. Let me say that again. Your weight isn't the real problem. The way you talk about yourself is the real problem. Now, when I say the real problem, I know you might be like, well, Chris, I got all this extra weight and I don't want it on me. It sure seems like the problem. No, that's the symptom. That's the byproduct of the problem, the root cause. Let's think about this differently. Imagine if you started saying something like, I'm learning to pause and feel my feelings instead of eating them. I'm working on that. Or perhaps, I'm becoming the sort of person that just goes on a walk every day. Like, that just moves my body every day. It's just the kind of person I'm becoming. Or perhaps you could say something like, I'm figuring this out. I'm figuring this out. I ain't been perfect. I'm stumbling all over the place, but I'm doing better than I did before, but I'm figuring it out. I am making my way there. One little teeny tiny habit at a time. You could say things like, I am losing weight. Not I'm trying to lose weight, but I am losing weight. I'm on a weight loss journey. Up until now, I've been really struggling with binge eating. I have a tendency to overeat when I'm particularly stressed, and I'm working on keeping my stress low. You hear the difference in speech versus I always binge eat. Now, some of you are going to think, Chris, come on, this is ridiculous. Like, I don't feel this way when I talk like this. Like, I'm not saying the way I feel. I mean, and that just doesn't sound true yet. I can't say I am losing weight. I haven't lost weight in 3 weeks. I can't say that. I'd be a liar. But here's the thing. You don't say these things because they're true today. You say them to make them true tomorrow. The words that you're using are not describing reality. The words you're using are creating your reality. And many of you don't know this yet. And many of you are surrounded by people that don't know this yet. And so when you begin to do it, when you begin to realize, I think my words are creating my reality, I think I'm going to start watching my speech, you will notice how other people get weirdly uncomfortable about it. That's a them problem. You need to let them sort through it. This is so important. If you say something enough times, your subconscious mind will start to believe it. It's a very reliable way of getting a new belief into your subconscious, is you say it to yourself again and again and again and again, and eventually your mind will believe it to be true. What the mind believes to be true is true as far as that mind is concerned. And once your subconscious starts to believe whatever it is you've commanded it to believe, your actions will begin to be in alignment with those beliefs. It's just how humans are wired. This is a human thing. It's not a bug. It's a feature. It's how we work. I'll give you an example from my own life. When I first started my weight loss journey, one of my biggest hurdles was my evening snacks. I love my evening snacks. And I kept saying, I'll always blow it at night. That's what I would think before. I always blow it at night. And you know what I did? Every night? That's right. I blew it. I'd lose control. I would do so good during the day, and then I would just lose it at night. But on the final weight loss journey, the one that took, when I decided to do things differently, I decided to start thinking about my speech, I then decided to change how I talked about things at night. Instead of saying things like, I always blow it at night, I started saying like things, I'm learning how to handle my nighttime snacking. I'm learning how to make it work. I'm learning how to control myself. I'm learning how to budget my calories for the evening. I'm learning how to say no. I started speaking in a way that is acknowledging it's still a struggle, but also keeping my mind focused forward towards the solution, acknowledging that this is a process. The final me is under construction. You'll notice I didn't lie to myself. I think that's important, to not lie to yourself. You have to speak in a way that your brain will accept. I didn't pretend my cravings weren't there. I didn't pretend my predilection to nighttime snacking wasn't there. I simply started talking differently about my ability to handle them. And guess what happened? Slowly, over time, my actions started to line up with that sentence. I started actually handling my nighttime snacking differently. It's not because I magically gained some weird willpower. It's not because I unlocked some cheat code. It's just my words that I said to myself over time began to shift my mindset. And as my mindset began to shift, my actions had no choice but to follow suit. Here's a little something you might need to hear. You will never rise above the words you use to describe yourself. If you constantly call yourself a binge eater, if you constantly call yourself fat, if you constantly call yourself lazy, if you constantly call yourself uncommitted, if you constantly call yourself a failure, guess what? You'll keep binge eating. You'll keep failing. You'll keep self-sabotaging. If you constantly say you have no self-control, you'll keep losing control. You literally cannot outperform your self-image, because your self-image is made up entirely of the words that you own. Now, some of these words may have been given to you by others when you were younger, but you've adopted them as your own since then. You must speak success before you see success. Now, here's the thing. If you're tired of looping the same old story and getting the same old results, then you've got to start telling yourself a new story. And this isn't easy, because your brain craves familiarity, certainty. Your brain likes old stories. It likes knowing what's going to happen. And I'm telling you, the moment you start shifting your language, your reality will begin shifting too. It's going to be uncomfortable when you first start doing it. When you first begin to speak into existence your new self-image, your brain will be tempted to tell you, but that's not who we are yet. We're not perfect. You're going to have to push aside the perfectionistic side of you and just ignore it. Just ignore it. You can't necessarily make it go away, but you can ignore it. And you can choose where your focus is. There's this old saying, I'm sure many of you have heard it, where focus goes, energy flows. Where focus goes, energy flows. And in your mind, you have a side of you, a saboteur, the side that doesn't think you can make it, and you have a side of you that does. And there's a battle waging between these two sides of you. And you know which one wins? The side you feed. The side you feed is the side that wins, and you feed it your language. So is your language feeding the empowering side of you, the side of you that knows you can do this? Or is your language feeding the disempowered side of you, the side that doesn't think you're capable, the side that thinks you're a failure? And you see, this is exactly what I help people do inside the Guild. In the Guild, I teach people how to rewrite their internal scripts practically over time so that your actions will then begin to line up with the person you desire to become. Now, the Guild isn't open right now, but there is a wait list. And the reason why there's a wait list is because I personally like to coach everybody in. I like to take them through a 4-week program I call the On-Ramp program, where I meet with just you and your other new people joining the Guild, give you a chance to answer questions and get you up to speed. So if you know the language you've been using has been holding you back and you're ready to finally do something about it, you're ready to finally start working on your speech and help shifting your mindset and take a mindset first approach to weight loss, I want you to get your name put on the wait list for the Guild. And the way you do that is you head on over to the website, which is theguildofchampions.com. That's theguildofchampions.com. You can do it on your phone. And you just scroll down about half. There'll be a button there. You can tap it. It'll take you about halfway down the page. And you just put your name and email down. That's all you got to do. You just put your name and email down. And when the doors open again, I will email you to let you know. Now, let me leave you with this. Your brain is always listening. It hears every word you say about yourself. And your subconscious believes you. Your subconscious must accept whatever you tell it. So what are you going to tell yourself today? How are you going to talk to yourself about yourself for the rest of the day today? Are you going to speak of failure? Are you going to speak of weakness? Are you going to speak of inability? Or are you going to speak of success? Are you going to speak of empowerment? Are you going to speak of your capabilities? The reality is, your life is your story. And the future is not yet written. The future pages of your journal are blank. You're the one that gets to decide what goes on those pages. You're the one that gets to speak into existence your future. And you're going to speak a future into existence. The question is, are you going to keep using the same old thoughts and the same old scripts to get the same old results? Or will you begin to use new thoughts with new scripts so that you can have new results? The choice is yours. The choice is yours. And only you have to live with the results of your choices. No one else. It's your story. You decide. I'll see you next week on the Chris Terrell Podcast.